Hello, folks. This is Ross Fleming of Fleming Recordings, Nelson speaking. Today I am in a prospector's cabin, a log cabin in Slocan City. They call it Slocan now. And I'm going to interview Mr. Ernest Van Dulken, who has been around the Kootenays for a considerable time now. And this cabin certainly makes me feel at home. It puts me back to the days when Steve Hawkins and other prospectors had their cabins around Fairview, and it is a really typical prospector's cabin. Now, Mr. Van Dulken, where were you born?
London, England.
London, England. Well, now, with a name like yours, how come you were born in London?
My dad was the secretary of the Dutch Church in London.
Oh, yes.
The secretary treasurer of the Dutch Church in London.
Oh, yes.
And my mother came from Cornwall.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, he had to be close to London in order to carry on his duties as secretary.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Will you speak up louder, please? Now, what year were you born?
I was born in 1883.
1883. That's 2 years older than I am. And were you born in London?
I was born in London, 4 miles from the centre.
4 miles from the centre. Uh-huh. And when did you come to Canada?
May the 5th, 1906.
1906. Did you come with your parents or alone?
I came alone. Well, I came with two friends.
Oh, yes. And you came to, where did you come to?
Quebec.
Quebec.
And then Manitoba.
Manitoba.
And eventually to BC.
Oh, yes. Why did you leave Manitoba?
On account of the very bad winter. 62 below.
Oh, I see. And so you...
And everybody mortgaged there.
I see. Those were bad years.
Yes.
And how did you find the temperature across Canada?
Well, BC has the best climate of the whole works, except possibly the Ottawa Valley.
Mm-hmm. You came, you told me a few minutes ago that it was 62 below zero in Manitoba when you left there, and it was raining in Nelson when you arrived?
That's right.
Well, that was it's quite a change in temperature there.
That's it.
What was your employment?
Mostly farming.
Mm-hmm.
Though I did work in the Nelson Smelter when I first came.
Oh, yes. And
I was working for Dill on a chicken farm at Shoreacres.
Oh, yes, I see.
That was in 1907.
Which Dill was that?
Reggie, I think.
Oh, yes.
But I'm not too sure about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's H.E. Dill and Bert Dill that I knew of.
This man used to be an athlete.
Oh, yes, that'll be Bert Dill. Mm-hmm. Yes. Go ahead.
Is he still alive?
No, he's not alive now. His son is in Nelson now. You're very fond of writing, aren't you? Have you written any stories or histories or anything?
Oh, no. No.
No, nothing like that. But you keep
I have read a lot of other people's histories, though.
Oh, I see. And what would you say your hobbies were?
Placer mining, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And gardening.
Have you ever placer mined on 49 Creek, for instance?
No, but I have on Rover Creek.
I see,
and
that's
Falls
close.
Creek. Rover Creek, Falls Creek, and Avery Creek.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh. Did you ever strike some colors?
Oh, yes, sure, lots of times. I got real big stuff, too.
Is that so? Mm-hmm. Do you happen to have any still?
No, not now.
Not now. Mm-hmm. Well, that's very interesting. Well, you've traveled around quite a bit. I remember one time you you giving me a list of Indian grave sites and burial grounds and so on like that. Now, how did you come to find all these places?
Well, I've always been interested in Indian archaeological stuff, and I think I know pretty well all the grave sites in the Slocan Valley anyway, and some in the Kootenay Valley.
Oh, yes.
And possibly I know more than quite a few, I think.
Yes. I know that the archivist at Ottawa came out to Nelson one time, and I gave him your list, and he copied it and sent it back to me.
There was a man came here with his wife and boy, but I don't remember his name. That would be about 3 to 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
He came from Ottawa, from the museum there, but he said he was coming again, but he didn't show up.
I didn't show up. I see. Well, you've done a little of placer mining. Have you done any hard rock
No,
work?
no. Though I did have a mine at the head of Lemon one time, but that was just a kind of a venture. That's all.
Oh, yes.
It didn't pan out very good. I put $100 in. I took $9 out.
Let's see. Well, I think there have been quite a number of prospectors that have done that, and then when they did strike something, they it seems that they have to sell it for a pretty small price or give it away in order to get a living.
I do know a whole lot of rich prospectors.
Yes.
But they're no good to me. I never needed the money, and I really wasn't interested in it.
I suppose in the beginning a good deal of the difficulty was with lack of transportation, wasn't it?
The trouble was to find the money to finance the thing in the first
Yes.
place. That was the real trouble.
Yes. Well, of course, it was usually so far away from smelters and so on like that it was it took the expenses were heavy.
Well, putting the road in isn't so bad, but it's to getting the money to do it with.
Yes, I see. Well, now, are there any interesting things that you've happened in your life that you would like to tell us about?
Well, I was in the army for just over 3 years.
Oh, yes.
That was very interesting.
Where did you enlist from?
Nelson.
Nelson.
I was in the 225th Battalion.
225th, I see. Well,
And
you'd...
although I was C2 when I joined, I managed to stick in there.
Oh, yes.
I did desert in Canada.
I see.
I deserted and beat my way over and joined up with the old battalion over there.
Oh, that's
Everything was okay.
Oh, I see.
Well,
you got back into the game again, eh?
I got back in again.
I see.
That's the only reason I did it, though.
Yes, I see. Well, I guess they didn't press the desertion charges in that case.
Oh, no, they shook hands with me, matter of fact.
Well, that's fine.
It was a tough major, too, that did it.
What?
Major King from the 121st.
Had you taken part in, what actions had you taken part in?
The only action I took part in was gardening and chicken raising over there and so on.
Oh, I see.
The only action I was in was 2 shells were fired over the cookhouse I was in.
Oh, that's all.
I was at Seaford.
Oh, I see. You were based in England.
Yeah.
Well, now, are there... I'm sure that you have some other things that would be interesting to hear about.
Oh, I've done considerable hunting around. And
have any close shaves?
Oh, yes, I had quite a few, but there's too many to enumerate, to tell you the honest truth.
Oh, I see.
I've come pretty close to getting killed quite a few times.
That's so.
But well, I think I've got three people looking after me. That's about. They work in 8-hour shifts.
Oh, is that so?
I think that's about the size of it.
Can you have you been able to recognize them?
No, I can't say I have. But I sure been awful lucky.
Well, now the last man I interviewed, he was attacked by a male bear who had a cub with him. He chased the cub into the bush and came after the man. And the man pumped 4 shells into him, and still he kept on coming. And his last shell, he stopped the bear with his last shell when the bear was only about 6 feet away from him. Now, can you...
Well,
you tell me one of your things.
I've met hundreds of bears because I used to fight fire a lot.
Oh, yes.
And I've met all kinds of bears up in the hills, but the only trouble I ever had with a bear was one time I had a 30-30 with me, and I heard a cub squeal above the road, and then the old she-bear came at me.
Oh, yes.
But I got her first crack. I got her with the first show, not the last one.
Oh, that's all. Well, that is good.
Then I went to look at the cub, and it was a good size, so I left him alone.
Oh, yes.
I didn't want to kill the cub anyway.
No.
I wouldn't have killed her only if she came for me.
Sure. Yes.
But I used to get quite a few bears one time, and he used to eat the meat too.
Oh, yes.
But until one day I got a little too inquisitive. I looked into the meat and I saw some of these big worms that are in it.
Oh, yes.
That cured me. I never had bear meat since.
Oh, I see. Well, that would, of course, that would have been meat that had stood around a bit.
Well, there was a heifer died in the little Slocan.
Oh, yes.
And it was crawling with maggots.
Oh.
A silvertip came down and ate that.
Oh, I see.
Left just a few bones, that's all.
Oh, I see.
Which will give you an idea how tender bear meat should be.
Yes, I see. Well, well, now, in regard to mining and placer mining, can you tell me where all these big nuggets are?
Well, I can't say where they all are, but I used to know a gent by the name of Jack Moore, who had a bowl full of big nuggets, and I finally found out where they came from. It was at the head of Connor Creek that runs into Rover Creek at South Slocan.
Oh, yes.
And some of the nuggets were as big as a thumb.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Wow. And
there's a flat at the head of Connor Creek that has these nuggets in it.
Oh, that's so.
And
do you know?
Very few people ever go that way.
I see. You don't think very many people have prospected up in that?
Not to the head.
Not to the head.
No.
I see. Well, that's a good tip for somebody, isn't it?
It should be.
Yes. You.
Especially in view of the fact
well, why haven't you been interested in gathering more of these?
I never wanted to get rich myself.
You never want to get rich?
Never want to get. I was always told that when I was a boy it was a sin to be rich.
Oh, I see.
And I've got the habit, I guess.
I see.
I never wanted to be rich.
As long as you've got enough to eat and you're happy, that's all you...
That's it. I'm happy.
I see.
I've been happy most of my life.
I see. And, by the way, have you never married?
No, but I have found out that single blessedness is another name for single cussedness.
Oh.
But that's all. No, I think I'd get married now if I had the chance. That is, if I could marry somebody that I could talk to and
yes,
and willing to look after me.
Yes, I see. Well,
make that will yet.
Yes, I see. Well, that's fine. You're a good hunk of a man yet.
Oh yeah. I'm not kicking.
No, and but at the same time, what was your idea not getting married when you were younger?
Oh, I had my chances, but they didn't turn out okay. I got engaged a couple of times, but I was told that I hadn't got enough money. So.
Oh, I see.
So we can skip it.
Excuse me being inquisitive, but you know it's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what about?
I'm very fond of children, though.
Oh yes, that's fine. Have you anything else to say in regard to the mining part of it?
No, except that there's a heck of a lot to be picked up in this country. A lot of good prospects in the country. Quite a lot.
What do you...
and I would say that around Beasley would be about a good place to start.
I see.
And 49 and Rover Creek. particularly Rover Creek, too.
Rover Creek is on the same side as 49, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
on its farther west.
Yes. Yes, that's where the city power plant gets its water supply, I believe.
No.
No?
They get their water supply out of Bird Creek.
Oh, Bird Creek, yes,
Yeah.
I think you're right.
But on Bird Creek there's the 6 Chinamen buried
Oh, yes,
on Bird Creek.
I see.
They were plastering up there,
Oh,
and a
yes.
bank caved in on top of them.
Oh,
And I guess they're there yet.
well, that put a sort of a damper on.
It was very, very rich ground, and they hated to leave it.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well.
Had to be about halfway up Bird Creek, I guess.
Well, now, what about these Indian artifacts and mounds and grave sites?
Well, there's one grave site at close to the 27-mile board in the Slocan Valley, and there's one at Vatican, and there's one right close to the Playmore at South Slocan.
Oh, yes.
And there's a kind of a platform at Crescent Valley,
Oh,
a
yes.
big bench that's been flattened out and now is covered with silt, but below the silt there's a platform with hard beaten clay and ashes on it.
Is that so?
That's just back of where the old McCoy ranch used to be.
Oh, yes.
And there has been a large Indian colony at Lemon Creek, or just above Lemon Creek,
Oh, yes.
in the Narrows there.
I see.
Or there must be 50 old dwelling sites there,
That's so.
and some are as high as 350 feet above the present level of the river.
Is that so?
And but I haven't found but only a few artifacts there.
I see. Did you ever make a collection of them?
No, just one or two, that's all.
Yeah.
I have met people, though, that did have a big collection.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a Mrs. Russell at South Slocan.
Oh, yeah.
She had a large collection.
Oh, yeah.
She picked hers up alongside the pool at South Slocan.
Oh, yes.
And I believe the island that's in the center of the pool would be a very rich place.
Yeah, I see.
It's known as Gold Island.
Oh, I see.
And at one time it was full of bones, so the bones used to stick out of the bank.
Is that so?
And the Indians used to bury their dead on islands and on points that stuck out into the lakes
Is
and
that
rivers.
so? Well,
And of course now some of these points are dry.
yes. Well, that island is still there.
Yeah, the
Even
island's still there.
after the, that's just below the Slocan generating plant,
Yeah,
power plant.
That's right.
Mhm.
There used to be a wiki up on the corner.
That's where that's where the Slocan Pool was. And did you know Skatebo, Ole Skatebo?
Oh yes, sure.
Yeah.
I can remember his big bulbous nose.
Yeah, I see. Well,
But he was an absolute square shooter.
Yes, he was.
Absolutely square.
People used to come down there to fish,
That's right.
and he would be their host.
Jack Purley was another.
Oh, yes.
He was absolutely square too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there've been a whole lot of them. There used to be about 4 men there, 4 or 5 men on the pool all the time,
Yeah,
fishing,
I see.
and making a living at 2 bits a pound.
Is that so?
But right now, I doubt whether one could make a living there.
Yes, I doubt it too.
The fishing and hunting's gone to blazes since the last 50 years or so.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There used to be hundreds of grouse to a flock,
Mm-hmm.
and deer you could see any time of the day and night,
Mm-hmm.
or any time of the day rather,
Mm-hmm.
anywhere in the valley.
Yes.
But those days are gone.
Yes,
For
pretty
keeps.
well. Yes. Yes, it used to be in the early days when the Indians would come along and do their fishing and dry their the fish for the winter, dry their food. But I guess those days are pretty well gone.
I've only
forever.
seen a few Indians.
Mhm.
In those days, when I was young, they had a colony at Brilliant
Oh, yes.
But that's all gone now, I think.
Hmm.
The only Indians around now are Creston.
Yes, I believe
And
so.
they don't seem to be interested in fishing anymore.
No, they don't seem, and they don't seem to come down. Of course, I guess they're getting quite few.
Well, they're getting more money, that's the reason.
Yes, they trying to
more
live a white man's life.
That's a more interest in truck driving and so on.
Yes.
No, I can remember Indian Alec and Indian Mary.
Hmm.
Indian Alec used to always walk around on his toes.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Well,
A nice fellow.
yes.
He used to stay at my place. I had a cabin at 8 miles out from Nelson.
There is, there was a Chief Alexander. Did you happen to know him?
No, was he the man that was 6'6"?
It might have been.
He was a very big man, I believe.
Oh, yes.
I never knew his name, but I knew there was a chief of that size.
Oh, yes.
They used to live mostly on beach, you see, that was it.
Yes. Well, thanks very much, Mr. Van Dulken. This has been a very interesting interview, and particularly for me because it puts me right back to the old days when I used to be in prospectors' cabins often.
The old days were the best days, you can take it from me.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, they were.
The memories
But
are wonderful.
people were honest in those days, for the simple reason that if they weren't honest, they died quick.
Well, they were pretty honest, all right. Well, thanks again very much for this interview, and I know that it'll be very interesting to the audience.